In Only Murders in the Building Season 4, Episode 4, the mysteries deepen, blending grief, guilt, and a web of deception. Charles is still reeling from Sazz's death, haunted by dreams and clinging to the word paradise, a clue that's more important than it seems. The trio navigates through a world of stunt professionals, hidden secrets, and shady dealings. They start piecing together the connections between Sazz's past and the mysterious figures around them. This episode skillfully blurs the lines between real danger and stage drama, leaving us to question, is there more at play than meets the eye?
Is that a real bottle, you asshole?
Set them up, you prick!
Are you calling me a Rex Bailey?
We start with Charles dreaming about Sazz, who mentions paradise, which ends up being a key idea later on. The main thing to notice is that Charles is still having a hard time dealing with her death. The theme of grieving plays a big role in this season. Charles even goes so far as to create another murder board, this time specifically for Sazz, to present to the podcast group as if we need more boards. He writes paradise on it and emphasizes that Sazz was into ham radio, which becomes important because someone threatened them over the radio at the end of Episode 3. In Episode 4, the next big clue in the murder case comes from Oliver's unhealthy habits. He's been stalking Loretta's Instagram, obsessed with a mysterious male arm in one of her photos. After creating a fake account to dig deeper, Oliver discovers that Sazz followed Loretta and that she posted about going to a bar called Concussions, a spot for people in the stunt industry. The trio heads to the bar looking for answers, but as usual, they're terrible at getting any right away, which is a running theme in Only Murders in the Building. The bartender refuses to talk, and the stunt people are openly hostile. There's a joke that they hate actors, calling them faces, since in their world, stunt people see themselves as just as important. The opening narration begins with them saying, "A movie set is filled with egomaniacs, but a good stunt double must set the ego aside and just be a maniac." Then, a familiar face appears, Ben Glenroy. Well, actually, it's his stunt double, Glenn. He's visibly frustrated, explaining how Ben's death has cost him everything. It's kind of like Toy Story, but instead of forgotten toys, it's stunt people left behind. Curious about the mysterious woman who walked into the backroom of the bar, the podcast trio offers Glenn a job in the Only Murders in the Building movie. Glenn explains that the backroom was a place where stunt professionals could visit Dr. Maggie, a chiropractor who helps with injuries from dangerous stunts. Sazz was frequently with the doctor because she was dealing with a lot of pain. When Charles talks to the doctor alone, he learns that Sazz had been excited about retiring and starting a new career, and she had also mentioned struggling with a difficult relationship. At that moment, Charles realizes Sazz was talking about her relationship with him. The heart of the story is still focused on Charles's guilt over his friend's death, and it's tough to watch him wrestle with that pain. We finally find out what the Westies have been secretly doing in their apartment complex when Mabel goes back to Dudnoff's apartment. After realizing Howard isn't checking on it anymore, she finds the Westies snooping around. They show her a file revealing that they're involved in illegal subletting to get apartments at ridiculously low rent. They all pay only $200 a month, thanks to Professor Dudnoff, who retired and moved to Portugal. The woman who was threatening the podcast crew over ham radio turns out to be Rudy's ex-girlfriend with serious anger issues. The Westies then offer Mabel the same deal, giving her a chance to live in NYC at a low cost. Considering everything Mabel's been through lately, this episode gives her a way out of her tough situation. The biggest mystery in the fourth episode, especially for Charles, is figuring out what Sazz's paradise really was and what it meant. Charles has a big realization when he goes back to the stunt bar. He decides to act as Sazz's body so they can have her traditional funeral. During the funeral, Charles lays on the pool table as Sazz's body double while each stunt person gives a eulogy and then breaks a fake bottle of alcohol over his head. However, Glenn messes up and uses a real bottle on Charles, knocking him out. While unconscious, Charles dreams about Sazz and remembers how she told him about wanting to start a stunt academy. Later, Charles, Mabel, and Oliver go to the place he saw in his dream about Sazz. They find a sign that says, "Future home of the Sazz Pataki Impact Academy." Nearby, there's a rundown building, and when they enter, they find Bev Melon from Paramount Studios. She immediately threatens them with a gun. Has it been Bev Melon all along?
Don't move or I'll blow your fucking brains out.
Oh my God.
Bev is the producer of the movie adaptation of the Only Murders in the Building podcast. She has next to no reason to want to see Charles dead, right? Theories have been raised about Bev's potential involvement in Sazz's murder, which could be linked to the betterment of her Hollywood career. The movie is set to premiere at Christmas, but they haven't started filming? Or have they? Perhaps I'm reading too much into this, but did anyone else find it odd that in the scene being filmed at Paramount, the director repeatedly yells for the actors to look up, and instead, they just glance at each other uneasily?
I don't want to know nobody who don't love New York City.
Look up! Look up! Cut!
Maybe they're looking at the wrong floor on the Westies side. Now that we know the Westies aren't the killers and that Dudnoff is a retired professor helping them live cheaply in New York, and that the woman on the radio is just an angry ex-girlfriend, what if the bullet came from above the building? Or maybe from inside Charles's apartment? This could all be staged. If you look closely in Season 3, Episode 10, the outline of the person entering Charles's apartment is neither Charles nor Sazz. What if this person entered before Sazz, shot her from the back, and the bullet going through her out the window, instead of through the window and into her, made it look like the bullet came from the west side, and took Sazz's body before anyone noticed? Bev Melon could have orchestrated all of this to make the movie personal for the group, especially Charles, so she could gain sympathy from people and make them want to watch the movie even more, now that it's actually personal for the group and not just a random person's murder, and in turn, make a lot of money from the film. And she also has the same tone as the person who texted them. The text said, "I'm not your friend." And in the rundown building, she says, "Don't move or I'll blow your brains out." Do the actors know about this? Maybe they were sent to the Arconia to distract the group from what's really at play. What if the neighbors are also paid actors? Bev must have been the one that sent those flyers out to the Dudnoff apartment, knowing that Howard was there. And Bev must have known that Mabel can't afford an apartment. Now that Howard isn't guarding the apartment and wants out of his and Mabel's deal, she would have gone to the apartment and therefore seen all of the neighbors in there, perhaps a staged scene, feeding her false information about Dudnoff and the lady on the radio. Let me know all of your theories and thoughts about this episode in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.